OSINT is open source intelligence, okay? It is just autistic people that like maps and also off to the thought of NATO dominating the planet, getting together and, you know, talking about what, getting together and doing like forensic data analysis off of like looking at images. It's like GeoGuessr, kind of, paired up with people who are LARPing as spies. Anyway, in 2024, Trump condemned Biden from Yemen. At least then, the Houthis were attacking U.S. ships. They stopped with Gaza ceasefire. Now the U.S. is in a sustained war against Houthis and vowing war with Iran over it. The Trump voters want more Middle Eastern wars. I heard otherwise. Oh my God, I'm so shocked. That's right, Pete Hegseth. Message to Iran. We see your lethal support to the Houthis. We know exactly what you're doing. You know very well what the U.S. military is capable of, and you were warned. You will pay the consequence at the time and place of our choosing. And it's so funny because it's like he's posting this because we dropped an F-18. And when I say we dropped an F-18, I mean like literally it was not, they claimed that Houthi missile activity caused a maneuver from a pilot of an F-18 to drop it directly into the ocean. But Hasan makes me happy. I enjoyed my stay. Yeah. Do you mean like on planet Earth? Before we go into complete nuclear as a direct consequence of America's double pact with the state of Israel, which refuses to stop doing genocide. So sorry, we're just going to keep the Houthis and keep destroying our own military equipment in the region until, I guess, morale improves. I don't know. Yeah, it rolled off the aircraft into the Red Sea. They claimed the ship turned to avoid the missile and the plane rolled off the side, which is even funnier. Yeah. It's stupider. They said that the aircraft carrier had to do evasive actions and it fell off the side. Did you see the Dutch Twitter account posting a military target instead of 8 people? Yes, I saw that. Some OSINT account from the Netherlands literally posted random coordinates on Twitter. I'd probably kill 8 innocent people. All right, time for me to go through the mud. Based on satellite imagery, I'd marked this quarry as an underground base and tweeted it as such. I'm fairly certain CENTCOM doesn't take their targeting data from Twitter, but this is still a very severe mistake. Yeah. The OSINT account openly admitted this mistake, by the way, which is so insane. Oh, sorry, guys. I like that the tweet basically is like, sorry, oopsie. And I don't even, like, the reality is, yeah, they shouldn't be getting, like, no competent military. Central Command should not be getting their targets from OSINT Twitter, okay? So how was he supposed to know is unironically a valid thing to bring forward. Like, I can't believe we're living on a planet where the most powerful military on Earth is getting their notes from a random open source intelligence account. A random guy. U.S. air on houses near a quarry with 8 reported kills last night northwest of Sana'a with the coordinates. No congressional approval either. Yeah, Ryan Grimm, I know, wrote about it. Here it is. Here's the story. Pentagon may have drawn on anonymous social media accounts in planning deadly Yemen attack. Okay? A deadly in Yemen that 8 civilians appeared to target coordinates posted by social media analysts online. For the past several months, the U.S. military has been carrying out a campaign in Yemen ostensibly aimed at forcing the militant group Ansar Allah, also known as the Houthis, to stop their military intervention on behalf of Palestinians under Israeli assault in Gaza. This campaign is conducted against more than 800 targets, as well as verified claims of civilian harm, including most recently against a detention facility housing African migrants like dozens of people. It would be comforting to think that the decision makers in the U.S. military are carrying out these with great care and with the highest quality of intelligence, given the power of life and that its operations hold for innocent people. Yet serious allegations have emerged that the U.S. military has been relying, in part, on anonymous Twitter accounts who post coordinates that they dubiously claim contain military assets. This week, U.S. warplanes, the location alleged by 2 such amateur open source intelligence accounts to be a Houthi stronghold, innocent bystanders in the process. A Twitter account operated by an individual whose bio says they are based in the Netherlands using the handle Vlekkie Hond apologized this week after the U.S. struck coordinates she erroneously suggested. In early April, were the location of an underground Houthi military position. It was not a military site. All right, time for me to go through the mud, Vlekkie posted. Based on satellite imagery, I'd marked this quarry as an underground base and tweeted as such. I'm fairly certain CENTCOM doesn't take their targeting data from Twitter, but this is still a very severe mistake. Except, turns out, they are taking targeting data from Twitter, from random people on Twitter. Think about that. They have to be using AI probably to scrape through Twitter OSINT accounts that to develop targeting data. I'm not even kidding about this. They must be using AI to just like literally populate targets. They don't care. It reminds me of the Lavender AI program that Israel utilizes in Gaza. West Point cited this exact profile. Oh my God. Vlecki had highlighted the coordinates in a thread that claimed to have uncovered a Houthi base, and they had relied in part on a secondary account. Galal al-Salahi, whose bio suggests they're based in Houston. That account, which is hostile to the Houthis, claimed to have discovered a Houthi missile launcher at the coordinates. The hit took place on April 28th, reportedly 8 civilians in their homes on the outskirts of the capital of Sanaa. Vlecki's reading of satellite imagery, the account later said, was incomplete. They said they had privately marked the target as only possible, and they thought and they would strive to do better in the future while posting a screenshot of a 500 euro donation to charity that she had made as penance. I should have never posted it, they added. A message seeking comment from the account went unanswered. Dude, you literally 8 random people. You 8 random people. Oh my God. Like, let me say something, okay? Let me say something. She didn't do it herself, obviously. The American government did. They are the arch villains of this story. But like on the one hand, I understand why you as a random OSINT account would probably not expect Central Command to take notes from your random shit posts, okay? I don't know. It's hard. It's hard for me to, like, she is complicit, no matter which way you cut it. But also at the same time, the expectation that she has is a reasonable one. The expectation that the Americans are on the planet is not creating actionable targets off of random Twitter users, man. What the fuck? OSINT is open source intelligence, okay? It is just autistic people that like maps and also off to the thought of NATO dominating the planet, getting together and, you know, talking about what, getting together and doing like forensic data analysis off of like looking at images. It's like GeoGuessr, kind of, paired up with people who are LARPing as spies. Okay? It's the most evil version of autism, except there are some good OSINT guys who have become like actually incredibly valuable journalists who I talk to with regular frequency, and I actually do think that they're good. So there is not all OSINT is created equal, okay? Some of them do end up going to work for the New York Times or Washington Post or a number of different incredible organizations like that participate in forensics audits, okay? Open source intelligence gathering is not autism. Dude, if that's not autism, then what is? What are you talking about? If open source intelligence gathering for fun is not an indication of autism, I don't know what would be an indication of autism. There is no autism then. You are an autism denier, I think. It's like saying baseball is not a very autistic sport, okay? It's like saying enjoying trains, and enjoying trains is not perhaps an indication that you might have a little bit of autism. It is common in pen testing. Okay. You're definitely not proving the point that you are trying to prove with what you just said, chatter. Okay. Also, it's not an insult anyway. All right. Let's continue. Reports from local Yemeni news outlets highlighted the devastating impact of the attack. Among the dead and wounded were children, some of whom were later evacuated to local hospitals. The U.S. military and CENTCOM have ultimate responsibility for verifying the information used to conduct. The Pentagon has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on advanced data analytics programs for companies like Palantir that include open source data scraped from social media. So, yep, there it is. Open source data scraped from social media as a part of their information gathering process to help the military with targeting and intelligence. Data analysts live by the credo, garbage in, garbage out, which sophisticated intelligence collection is intended to overcome. To be sure, it may be a mere coincidence that the amateur sleuths identified the location before CENTCOM struck it, but the account used for Zanat is known to officials in the military, increasing the potential likelihood that it was relied on, at least in part for the tragic targeting. Vlecki Hond has been publicly cited by reputable military-linked publications, including the influential Combating Terrorism Center at West Point Sentinel, which referred to ever-resourceful analyst Vlecki Hond in an April 2024 report citing her analysis on U.S. air operations against the Houthis. The report noted she had compiled her analysis based on her purchases of commercially available satellite imagery. This is why I only rely on ELINT in terms of OSINT Andes that don't actually work for any reputable media organization. In terms of former OSINT Andes turned into forensic auditors that work for places like the New York Times or Washington Post, you obviously have people like Eric, who I think are great, and I have talked about how great they are before. They're MHUD certified as well. Eric Toller works for the New York Times Visual Investigations, previously worked at Bellingcat, but we won't hold that against them. And obviously Evan Hill as well. Evan Hill also used to work for the New York Times, but he went from the New York Times' open source and visual forensic investigations team to the Washington Post's open source and visual forensic investigations team, and he is very good. He's very good at his job. Wait, what is the issue with Bellingcat? Am I dumb? There are some reasonable suspicions that Bellingcat, at least in part, is a CIA cutout or a State Department cutout, which makes sense. They do sometimes have good reporting. Lol, that's bullshit. Okay, sure. What is this? Valentina Gomez infiltrates a Muslim demonstration in Texas. Oh, God. Who cares about this freak? I don't care. They said they're not going to stop doing this work. So now to improve and learn from this, no more posting about possible bases. Look for more concrete signs of these bases, most notably spoil heaps. Yeah, look, this person, in my opinion, also has ceasefire now on her bio, which is extra crazy. Like, I don't think this person cares about the humanity of people in Yemen. Like, you can't. If information that I erroneously posted was used as actionable intelligence to assassinate 8 human beings, I probably would stop doing that thing. At the very least, we're not even talking about like the guilt that I would carry around that would probably cause me to fucking kill myself. But outside of that, I would definitely stop doing that thing. Okay? Her tweets are all anti-Israel. I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this person is just like really invested in what the fuck she's doing in terms of looking at maps and satellite imagery. That's why I said this is the evil side of autism. I'm not going to say it. Never mind. What she should do is maybe use her newfound influence in CENTCOM to put different targets in front of Central Command. You know, different targets if she is so against certain groups in the region. Alert, alert. We have found Houthi activity and military presence in these coordinates that look like Benjamin Netanyahu's house. What is that about? Alert, alert. Anyway, in April, CENTCOM announced that it struck the Ras Issa fuel depot with devastating force, killing at least 80 civilians and plunging the country into a fuel shortage that will exacerbate a hunger crisis. The author of the West Point paper, Michael Knights, remained confident in Vleky Hond, despite how this week's attack had gone wrong. Impressive voluntary self-critique and professionalism. Rare to see, and another positive indicator regarding Vleky Hond, he posted after backlash over the civilian killings and her subsequent charitable donation. Dropside asked the Pentagon if the strike it carried out that reportedly killed numerous civilians have been drawn from social media analysis. The spokesperson did not respond. Prior claims that the United States had already been using social media account as a resource for developing strike targets had already surfaced in recent months amid the bombing campaign in Yemen. An account identified, like, do you not have a guy? Do you not have a fucking guy? Like, what is happening here? You don't have a guy that you have hired internally? Like, only we're outsourcing this for free 99 to random people on Twitter? What is happening? What is going on, dude? Like, the administrative state in the past, including in the military, because there's an enshittification everywhere under capitalism, including in the military, there was a process of a public-private partnership, even with the military, when you were trying to create strike targets, when you were trying to create new targets to strike, okay, because the military, the engine of blood must be fed, okay? It's very hungry. It must be fed. The war machine has to keep going. They would at least, like, rely on, I don't know, some private group that they've outsourced this intelligence gathering to Now they're just looking at random people. Oh my God. They're just looking at random people online. Oh God. We have devolved. We have devolved dramatically. Just like the conversation around Signalgate was the fact that like Pete Hegseth and Mike Waltz were on a Signal chat talking about classified strike targets before they were revealed to the public. And that was illegal. And not about the fact that we are striking Yemen without congressional approval, or the fact that we are striking Yemen to begin with at all. Nobody's even talking about the fact that we're just bombing Yemen. We haven't stopped it. We have not stopped bombing Yemen. Nobody's like, why are we doing this? The only papers that I have seen going, why the fuck are we doing this, is the American Conservative. Okay? That's right. The only old publication that I see that keeps repeatedly talking about how we need to stop bombing Yemen is the American Conservative. How is the American Conservative now a peaceful dove as opposed to the New York Times? New York Times has articles about it constantly, but they're uncritical. That's what I'm saying. Like, how did this happen? Every other week, there is another Alden Markey post from an American Conservative headline being like, the American government has spent $7 billion bombing Yemen when they shouldn't do that. Why is the American government wasting so many resources bombing Yemen? Here, I can't be looking at Alden Markey's Twitter account for too long, though, because he constantly posts those Houthi music videos. I'm going to get banned again. But here, I'll show you some of these headlines. Ay, ay, ay. Where is it? I can't even find the headlines that he was posting about. Yo, he deleted the article you were reading. It gone? What do you mean? There's also this, though. Houthi successful targeting of U.S. drones is hampering Trump's mission to kill group senior leadership. And then there's this. U.S. Navy loses $60 million jet at sea after it fell overboard from a aircraft carrier. That was pretty funny. It was pretty crazy. There's also, hold on. I need to find those American Conservative articles because they keep writing them. They're like, please, you have to stop bombing Yemen. What the fuck are we doing? We're wasting too many resources. Oh, you found it. Yeah, here it is. The American Conservative, why let the Yemen war bleed our military stockpiles? When DOD insiders are worried, you know something is wrong. Again, this is from, guys, this is from the American Conservative. Yemen bombing campaign achieves limited success, could soon cost $1 billion. Okay, this is from April 5th. 10 days after, they wrote this article. Why let the Yemen war bleed our military stockpiles? Yemen strikes could spoil Trump's legacy. U.S. attacks on the Houthis might kill diplomacy with Iran and spark a catastrophic war. So far, the Ansar Allah movement has taken down 22 MQ-9 Reaper drones, which are, I believe, what, like 20 mil a pop? And now also, in the evasive maneuvers the aircraft carrier was engaging in, they've also dropped an F-18 into the water, which means that's another 70 mil. The drones are around 33 mil per. That's like 70 million for the F-18. What an incredible waste of expenditure. What an incredible waste of money, except it's not a waste of money. You want to know why it's not a waste of money? Because that means jobs. That means dollar signs. Boeing's going to have to work on a new F-18 now. Wars in this day and age are not meant to be won. Okay? They're not meant to be won and lost. You're just supposed to continue it. You're supposed to continue said war. You're supposed to justify the continuation of said war. Okay? And this is a unfortunate byproduct of that endless appetite for death and destruction. Random Yemeni civilians, families, teenagers, children, they just get killed in the process. But it's a major W for the military-industrial complex. The New York Times reporting on this is supposed to be meant to be unbiased. Isn't the New York Times reporting of this called unbiased reporting? No, because even in, okay, unbiased reporting, right? Unbiased reporting, fair. It's not even supposed to be unbiased reporting when you ask this the question that I'm asking, why are we bombing Yemen? Or even why are we bombing Yemen without a foreign nation, without congressional approval? That is a real unbiased question that journalists should be asking. At least the second thing. Like, why are we bombing Yemen at all? Sure, maybe that's too much of a peaceful dove for a paper of record that's supposed to defend the State Department. But that question needs to be asked. That question needs to be asked at the State Department, because it is not legal technically, it is not legal for the American government to bomb a foreign nation without congressional approval. But we are so far removed from that point that is not even a question that people ask no more. It's crazy. Shouts out to Obama, by the way. Thanks, Obama. Thanks, George W. Bush, but also thanks, Obama, for that one. And thanks to Trump 1, and then also Joe Brandon as well for continuing to do this. Like, this is incredible stuff. It's just like not even a question. People are just like, yeah, of course the fucking executive is going to make these decisions. What are you talking about? It's like, no, that's actually illegal. As a matter of fact, what you are describing is illegal. It's not supposed to happen. You can't just like go to war. You can't officially go to war or declare war on a foreign nation without congressional approval. What the fuck are we doing? But of course, this is not an official declaration of war. This is simply protecting trade routes. Ironically enough, of course, who has destroyed global trade harder than the fucking Yemenis ever could? Donald Trump. Donald Trump's ridiculous tariff regime has actually ruined global trade in more meaningful ways than the Ansar Allah movement ever could. I guess the reason why he did that was because he wanted to ruin global trade all by himself. He didn't want the Ansar Allah to have fun with it.
Seemed like they're nowhere close to any kind of ceasefire deal.
Yeah, but let's look. I just think that this is because Israel doesn't want to end the war, and Netanyahu does not want to end the war. If they were willing to end the war, they would get the hostages out, and the idea that they somehow need to continue to fight a war against Hamas in Gaza, I'm sorry.
There's no security.
There's no security need to do it. It's a literal impossibility that October 7th or anything remotely approaching that, or anything really, in terms of a ground attack on Israelis could happen if the war ended tomorrow. Given the damage that's been done to Hamas, given how militarized that border is between Gaza and Israel. So there's no military necessity to carry out this war. Netanyahu is carrying out for his political purposes, and there are people in his coalition, including maybe Netanyahu himself, who want to carry out to just continue to punish and destroy the Palestinian people, if not ethnically cleanse them from Gaza, which is what a lot of people
that's the Trump
say.
plan.
I mean, that's what Donald, this is something Donald Trump says. It's something the ministers in the Israeli government say. The humanitarian situation can't be, we're not overstating it. Nothing has gotten in since mid-March. Zero. Yeah. We're talking no food, no medicine in a place where there already was no infrastructure left. They destroyed all the hospitals. They destroyed all the schools, destroyed basically all the buildings. And so you're just talking about a place in which an already traumatized, bombarded people, including a lot of injured people, like badly injured people, are being bombed in tents with no food and medicine. That's what's happening.
I was scrolling through Twitter yesterday, and I saw a video of kind of the after results of an airstrike, and there was a little girl sitting on the ground, and all of a sudden her head just started gushing blood like I've never seen anyone bleed in my life. And I realized I was watching the last moments of this little girl's life. And this is happening every single day.
And what makes that okay? What makes
Nothing.
that worth
It's
doing?
not.
Chad not realizing that this type of anti-Israel rhetoric was impossible even 2 years ago. I've been waiting for this since the 2009 invasion. Yeah. I mean, Tommy Vitor literally worked
Like
in the Obama administration. The person who's talking right here, Ben Rhodes and Tommy Vitor, are both former senior Obama administration officials who and they're talking about foreign policy. That's like these are the foreign policy guys on at Pod Save the World, on Pod Save America. They're the Podjons, okay? Like, Tommy Vitor was the former National Security Council spokesperson. Ben Rhodes served as the Deputy National Security Advisor, okay? As in, Ben Rhodes was the guy under Mike Waltz. In this administration, you know how we're talking about Mike Waltz? Like, that is the guy. So understand how much the dynamic has shifted. By the way, the aircraft carrier was making a hard turn to avoid Houthi fire, and it caused the plane to go overboard. CNN correspondent. I know. I talked about it yesterday.
don't
evil.
tell me that's what hostage is being brought home by that.
No.
You know, so this is an immoral abomination that will be a stain on this country and on Israel for the rest of our lives.
A moral stain, a strategic disaster.
Yeah.
everything about it is wrong and cruel and sensible. And just now that we're all furious about this again, it's worth highlighting this report on Channel 13 News in Israel about the Biden administration's handling of the war in Gaza, the policy generally. So Channel 13 talked to a bunch of top former Biden people, like 9 administration officials. They talked to a bunch of the Netanyahu government. It's all in Hebrew, but a couple sites dropped site news again, and then the Times of Israel did write-ups of the main reporting. And it is both infuriating, not surprising, and confirms a lot of the assumptions we had from the very beginning about kind of what was happening behind the scenes. So one of the most damning quotes came from the Israeli ambassador to the U.S. at the time, who said that, quote, "God did the state of Israel a favor that Biden was the president during this period because it could have been much worse. We fought in Gaza for over a year, and the administration never came to us and said, ceasefire now." It never.
Dude, this is why I think it's ridiculous. And we knew this already, for the record. We knew this already. I talked about this nonstop. And it's not like I had access to their inside correspondence. I was simply looking at what the Israeli administration was doing and what the Israeli administration was communicating directly after the Biden admin would say, "Oh, I'm so mad. I'm so mad about what you're doing." It's like all it takes is a fucking phone call. That's why when Steve Goatkoff went down there and pulled Benjamin Netanyahu out of his home in the middle of a Saturday, okay, during Shabbos, or are you supposed to be Sabbath? Whatever. On Saturday, holy day, when Ben is not supposed to at least like functionally work, and told him it's ceasefire time now. Okay, Sabbath, Shabbat. When he did that, that was a clear-cut indication that America does have all the fucking cards. America holds all the cards with Israel. Anyone that tries to tell you that that's not the case is fucking delusional. Okay. All it takes is one phone call. The Biden administration could have put an end to this the first week. Okay? The Biden admin could have said, "What are you doing? You're done. You're done." They could have pulled a Ronald Reagan and been like, "This is a Holocaust. You're doing a Holocaust. Stop it now." That's what Ronald Reagan did, if you recall. They, like, the idea that, like, Israel is a totally separate nation state and they have a mind of their own, like, okay, then punish them. You know what I mean? Like, we're the United States of America. Like, what are we talking about here? The liberals that wanted to defend Biden completely fucking forgot how much motion we have in terms of dominating our allies. Like, what is going on here? Sure, you might not have the same motion and the same influence, the same power of influence against our foreign adversaries, such as the Houthis, right? Such as Iran. But Israel cannot exist. Israel cannot exist without the United States of America's endless, unlimited support. Pause Save the World, not America. What? I know. It's a part of the crooked media network, okay? That's all I was saying. Asman is 100. Yeah, there's heavy botting happening. I blipped up to 40,000, 44,000 for a brief moment and went and lost it. And he probably also is getting botted as well. It's not up to him or myself, for the record. I don't even think he has 150 right now. He
a lot of the
has
time,
60,000. But there's like some severe botting going on the platform currently. Twitch doing UMG shit? No, I don't think it's Twitch doing it. Why weren't we at the May Day March today? We now support the 501 movement. What are you talking about, dude? I don't go to every single protest. Like, what do you want me to do?
Did, and that's not to be taken for granted. So he's obviously trying to give Joe Biden credit there.
He also just came back from a 2-week hiatus. No, that's not the reason. What are you talking about, dude? He's fucking 50K Andy, which is high enough as it is. He's not 150K Andy. What the fuck? No, it's very clearly botting. Please, just like, please. Okay? Yes, he has 126,000 viewers right now. It's not his own doing. Someone is clearly botting him. Why do you contest me on issues that pertain to my job? Like, I know this. I am an analytics understander. Okay, this is my job. Chatters will literally be like, "Nah, I watch, so I know."
And in so doing, offering the most damning thing observation you could about the administration. A couple more things that jumped out at me, Ben. The administration reportedly debated having Biden give a speech that presented the Israeli people two paths in the hopes of forcing an election. One path was get a hostage deal, get a ceasefire, get a normalization agreement with the Saudis. The other path was what we're seeing now, endless war, diplomatic isolation. But ultimately, Biden just chickened out and didn't want to push Bibi politically, and instead did that speech where he laid out the framework for a ceasefire deal that I guess Netanyahu had told him he agreed to, but later walked away from. There was some stuff in the story about how Biden's team was particularly angry with Netanyahu when he released the frustration of these Biden staffers here because they're mad that Netanyahu lied about them. But it's also very telling that the biggest point of frustration was Biden not getting credit for having sent enough arms.
They're mad about that and not about the 2,000-pound bombs being dropped on kids. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, so I just, it's a lot about the Saudi normalization deal. There's people admitting what was obvious all along, that Netanyahu was blocking a ceasefire for political purpose. So again.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that these guys see it and they're talking about it, and that's good. Their audience needs to hear this. But there needs to be questions asked towards the New York Times for not reporting on it. You know what I mean? Because the people that listen to the Podjohns also read the New York Times. They trust the Obama staffers who know what inside baseball looks like. Okay? They have participated in the facilitation of drone strikes under the Obama administration, including but not limited to Yemen, as a matter of fact. So I think the question is why is the New York Times not actually covering this in the same way that these guys are covering it? The New York Times has done some of the best reporting on what's happening in Palestine above any major newspaper. What? Okay, yeah. Thank you for saying something really dumb and tricking me into giving you attention. Am I crazy, or this is the type of coverage that would pop off 30 years later after some shit got declassified by the government? The Israelis dropped this like it's nothing? What? The New York Times never talks about how Iranians fighting the Islamic regime feel erased in the Palestine convos, that silence is pushing some towards conservative voices who do acknowledge them. Can you talk about this? Hey, Hasan, I'm Iranian Canadian. I support Palestine, but a lot of Iranians feel erased in these convos. Yeah, dude, the New York Times never talks about how there is resistance to the Islamic regime in Iran. What planet are you living on, dude? What are you talking about? We have our own fucking literal push in the American State Department for the MEK to seize control over the Iranian government. This is actively a part of the American State Department project. Of course, the New York Times covers that shit.
And like I said at the top, this was obvious at the time. We talked about it at the time. Rereading it was absolutely enraging. It was a reminder all over again of what a total fucking disgrace the Biden administration's policy on Gaza was. The just unrequited, obsessive loyalty to Netanyahu blinded him to the carnage and total immorality of the policy and the U.S. complicity in that policy. And it's outrageous.
Yeah. What?
He's just seen.
Dude, how does Asma go? And he's not doing it himself. Someone is botting him. Okay. Ay, ay, ay. Netanyahu says destroying Hamas more important than freeing hostages. Wow, I'm so shocked. I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised that is a thing. Now, the reason why this is important to talk about also is because Ethan brought it up in the conversation. Ethan brought it up in the conversation with Sam, where he appeared like a fool. Okay, on numerous